Hello and welcome to the Inner Gamer On. My name is Brett Yanofsky.
I'm Austin Morales.
I'm Danny Gallagher.
Hey, Danny, welcome to the
Hi.
show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So today we have special guest, Danny Gallagher. You are a writer of many, many things. Many things. So if we could get the cliff notes of
Oh boy,
what you do, what would that be?
I sit a lot.
I'm already a fan.
I don't. I'm not. No. I write for a lot of places. The Dallas Observer is probably my most prolific outlet right now. But I've also written for some video games for Jackbox Games for their party packs that are really just kicking ass. Every new one they do, they come out with something that's just it blows my mind.
Yeah.
And I also have written a new game for a company called Snapfinger Click. They made. Do you remember Buzz on PS2?
I do not.
It was a game show, like quiz show type thing.
Okay.
I'm selling it great. Sorry, Martin. No. It was they make party games. Snapfinger Click makes party games, and they've come out with one called Awkward, which I know you guys have
very
played.
awkward.
It is what it says.
Experience the awkwardness.
More awkward for some than others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it was.
That's
me. It was something interesting for sure. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
And I also do comedy around town, sketches. I'm in the Folding Chairs comedy troupe, one of the longest running comedy troupes in DFW, and I write for whoever wants to pay me to hear my smart ass comments about things.
So have you is this always what you want to do? Is
Oh
writing?
yeah. Like working for Jackbox was something I wanted to do since high school.
Yeah.
They were originally called Jellyvision.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
What was that switch like?
Jellyvision. Yeah. They started as a company called Jellyvision. They're based in Chicago, and they started and I freelance for them. I'm not full time, so
Right.
I'm not a official capacity. But from they started in educational software, and they made this educational game called That's a Fact, Jack, where kids would like read a book, like A Wrinkle in Time. And then they would go play this game show that would test their knowledge on the book. And the name of the fake, but it would play like the setup would be like you were a contestant preparing to go on a game show. So like when you type in your name, you'd meet with a producer, and the name of the network was called Learn Television. And when they decided to do kind of a playable, or when they decided to do a video game, which became You Don't Know Jack, the party game, quiz show party game. They used to do something called the gibberish question, where it was like they would take a phrase and then rewrite it with like every word that rhymes with it. So Learn Television is a gibberish question for Jellyvision.
Okay.
So that's a long way to explain something that nobody really. I'm sure the company will not. I'll be getting an email. But then Jellyvision and the games division split off because Jellyvision does like interactive software for like the different companies. Like they do an interactive, like if you call a phone, like the voice. It's not that, but they make these like guides for companies that are very interactive and very
right.
Sound like you're talking to a person and not a human. When they split off into the games part, they called it Jackbox Games. Jack being named after You Don't Know Jack, which was
when did
the
that
biggest
come
game.
out? 'Cause I feel like I remember that.
The 90s. I remember playing it when I was 13 or 14.
So do they have an affiliation with the board game or
What board game?
well, because there's like I've seen in the store like You Don't Know Jack that you can buy like in the board game shelves area, but I wasn't sure.
I don't think that's a. You mean the standalone, like with the electronic game?
Maybe it is electronic.
Because there is an electronic version. There is like Tiger made an electronic version.
Yeah. Okay. So that wasn't the original.
No. It started
Jackbox
as a computer game, and then it took off.
Got it.
The computer game was a big seller, and so they released different versions. They released like
Different
a sports
versions of it
version.
through that, yeah.
You Don't Know Jack. For those who don't know, it's a trivia game show, but it messes with the player. So it doesn't just ask you. It asks questions that like you have to know two different things. So you have to know like about Shakespeare and Scooby-Doo to get the question right.
Right.
And it's just very interactive. The hosts mess with you. There's a lot of like the funnest part. The first time I ever played it, you start the game up and a producer comes on. His name's Cookie, who's now the host of the Cookie Masterson, hosted by Tom Gottlieb. The first time I played it, I signed in and I took too long, and the game was like, "Will you hurry up and type a name?" and I was like, "I'm going to see what's going." And it's like, "All right, fine, I'm going to name it for you. Your name is Flat Tire," and then it types Flat Tire in for you. So it just gives you, if you don't do what it wants to do fast enough, it just does it for you.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And it's very clever writing. And this was before the internet became like a thing everybody had to have in their house. So they had to look everything up by hand, and and so it's a comedy game show, which is why I fell in love with it.
Yeah,
and I wanted to just do that, somehow do that for a living, and I kind of, and I have for part of it.
Yeah.
So
how did you get involved with working with the Jackbox team?
It was a completely lucky accident. I was working in McKinney as a newspaper reporter, and one of the guys that worked for the company, and I just heard on Kotaku that they were thinking about bringing back You Don't Know Jack. This was the version they released in, I want to say 2006 or 7 for like Xbox 360, PS3.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because it had been gone for a long time. And at one point, like, it got so big, like they released several versions. At some point, ABC actually turned it into a game show, which was a disaster because it was nothing like the game. And Paul Rubens hosted it and clearly didn't want to do it.
Why do they always do that? They always
I know, yeah. They took something great,
take some magic, and just kind of
right. The only thing they got right was the this or that. I don't know if you're familiar with that game. It's where you have to. It's two different things, and like something comes up, and you have to identify which it is. But it's always like, are these names the name of a pope or a Britney Spears song?
Gotcha.
Which I love writing. I didn't get to write for that game, but I love writing like those type of things. Where was I? Oh, so I was working at this newspaper in McKinney, and somebody that was working, or that still works for them, Arnie Nienkamp, who's the head writer for Jackbox, or one of the head writers. He also does comedy in Chicago in an improv troupe called World News Tonight. They would improvise scenes based on like news events from newspaper clippings. And I interviewed, and they were coming to McKinney, to perform at the local theater. And I interviewed him, and I'm talking to him, and I know a little. I'm a big comedy nerd, so I know about, we're just talking comedy. Like, I think I mentioned Doug Stanhope at one point, and he hands the phone to Arnie and goes, "Hey, be careful. He knows about Doug Stanhope. Like, he knows what he's talking about." And we start talking to Arnie, and he just mentions, "Oh, and I work for this game company." And I immediately go, "You mean Jellyvision?" He goes, "Yeah, you know them?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've wanted to work there all my life." I literally said that to him.
Yeah.
And I immediately, of course, I asked, "Are you working on a new You Don't Know Jack?" I've read, "No, I can't tell you that. You'll find out." And so I just kind of kept in contact with him on Facebook ever since then. Oh, and by the way, his group, World News Tonight, one of the first members was Jordan Klepper from The Daily Show, who now he hosts The Opposition. So,
nice.
Yeah, I never met him. So, but that's my lame claim to fame, is I worked for a guy that worked for Jordan Klepper. So anyways, I just kept in contact with him on Facebook, and eventually I got laid off from the newspaper, which was a blessing in disguise because I was going out of my mind covering. I know it seems like crime in McKinney is some weird stuff happened in that town. A lot of stuff. It's just like I'm covering this stuff, and it's like I'm losing my mind. Anyway, I'm not helping myself on future job interviews.
That's crazy.
No, it was crime reporting. It's like I need a break at some point. So I got laid off, and I was freelance writing. I started a second kind of career as a freelance writer for Cracked. Right when Cracked relaunched as the site it is now, it kind of blew up into this big thing, and I started getting jobs with MTV and Maxim and Spike. I was writing for Spike's website. I was writing humor pieces for them. And, so when I got laid off, I was like, I don't want to find another job. I'm just going to do this. And I think about 6 months into that, I saw Arnie was on Facebook, and I just messaged him like, "Hey, how you been? If you got a game, coming up, I'd love to work on it. And he was like, oh, you got me right at the right time. We're working on something. And at the time it was Lie Swatter, which is on the first Jackbox Party Pack. They first developed Lie Swatter. Lie Swatter is like a true false game.
Yeah.
And I didn't write. I was just a researcher. They had me researching facts or truths, but the truths they were looking for were like, we want stuff that sounds like completely believable, like completely unbelievable. That sounds like stuff we made up. And so it was like, one was like, if you add up all the numbers on a roulette wheel, they add up to 666. Or my favorite one was, I forget the name of the astronaut. I think it was Wally Schirra snuck a pastrami sandwich into space.
Wow.
On one of the Apollo missions.
So these are
because they were
things
sick of the food
that you're finding
Yeah.
for the game. Like how do you start into
I don't
like
sleep.
finding the okay. I'm just gonna be
No, I just come up with a topic. So the way the app worked, it was like a Words with Friend game. So you would play a round, and then a friend would play the same round, and then and then you'd play 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And all of them were categorized. You could pick a category. So it was like categories were like, space or astronauts or toilet paper. So I was trying to think of like weird topics I could do and general My favorite one, which they actually came up with, but they commissioned me to research for, was Chuck Norris facts. But the facts were like, Chuck Norris's favorite candy is peanut clusters. And I had literally had to go through books to confirm that Chuck Norris likes to eat peanut clusters.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where did you find that?
I don't remember. It took a long time.
Was it a side note?
Yeah. No, it was like you go through newspaper articles and
I gotcha.
stuff.
Wow.
So they did it as an app, and it came out, and then they did a couple other mobile games, and then they put Lie Swatter on the first party pack, Jackbox Party Pack, which I didn't know about until it came out, or maybe he told me, I don't remember. But
yeah.
So it just every year I would ask, basically it's me bugging them, hey, can I work on a game?
Yeah.
And if they have a need for writers, because they have they have a lot of writers, but some of these games, there's so much material. It doesn't hurt to have more people. I can't speak for them. It's based on a need, but I've gotten to work on at least one game on the last 4 party packs. So
now is that the first game that you've done work on, or was there other ones prior to that you did some kind of writing or research for?
That was the first. Yeah, that was the first video game.
Okay, awesome.
Like game you buy in a store.
Yeah.
Or on an app. There was another one I worked on that it's not even on there anymore, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. But yeah, that was the first game title.
So how has that process evolved? Like looking back at, researching for Lie Swatter and then going into let's say my first foray into the Jackbox games was Jackbox 3.
Okay.
And the first thing I played was Trivia Murder Party. I know that you had a big contribution to that.
Oh,
right?
thank you.
Yeah, and I was like, I was cracking up when we first started playing, and I showed it to everybody, and they're like, "This is amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good."
We all loved it.
So
thank you. A lot of people worked on. Well, a lot of people work on all these games.
All of them, yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Yeah. So basically, how did that process?
Oh, I gotcha.
Change from the beginning to
it was. Actually, it was with that one. It was pretty simple. It was. They sent me a proposal or a guideline, whatever you want to call it. Like, here's what we want you to write, and it was basically just write a trivia game.
Okay.
They explained what the game was. It's a game show hosted by a serial killer, and if the person gets questions wrong, they fight. They have to fight for they have to fight for their life. But the material in that was there was some comedy writing, and then I got to write some of the lines that the killer intros before Spencer Ham, who played the host of that. They gave him a low Jigsaw type voice.
Oh, yeah.
That's not his real voice.
Right.
Any favorite lines you can think of?
Oh God, no. I can think of my favorite question and I'm pretty sure I didn't write it, but when it came up in a game, I literally passed out from laughing. It was, what is the number for edible arrangements?
Oh my gosh.
And it literally just flashed up 4 1-800 numbers. And I just was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe at one point, and I just kind of slumped back in my. It's on camera somewhere. I did it as part of my Extra Life charity marathon.
Nice.
And the camera was right on me, and you can see me just go like anyway. No, there was the line. The lines were kind of. I don't like. There was a lot of. I'm sure there was a lot of rewriting because I didn't know. Like I didn't write like a line for every question. So to back up. The kind of guidance I was given is we want a mix of like questions that are like morbid and also like questions about like boy bands and My Little Pony because you know like a serial killer threatening to kill someone and it's like who's the only female Smurf is hilarious. So like happy stuff like to kind of juxtapose it and then there were just some. I came up with some. Actually, there is a favorite of mine. I got to think of what it was. I'm going to give the answer, but I don't care. I kind of, after a while, you get not bored, but it becomes a routine. So you're like, how do I make this interesting for me?
Right.
And I started to put hidden messages in the answer. So there's one question. The book, there's a book by E.E. Cummings called Gadsby, and the question was, what letter does E.E. Cummings never use in the book Gadsby? There's a letter he doesn't use in the book at all. And the 4 choices were U-D-I-E.
You die.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I would start writing questions that could let me put little secret messages in. So one was like, what are the first 5 letters that they give you on Wheel of Fortune in the bonus round? And I didn't put R, S, T, L, and E. I rearranged the letters so that it would read rest in your plots. And the 4 answers, like it started getting like obsessive. Like, how can I sneak something in? And then it just was fun because I got to like look at morbid, look at horror novel stuff and morbid trivia and things I'm kind of serial killer trivia.
Did you add in any of the Pokemon stuff?
No, I don't know anything about. There was a Pokemon. I probably did.
There's a few.
Because there was I think it was about the time when I was writing Pokemon Go had taken off, and I never cared about it.
Yeah.
All of our friends, when that Pokemon question comes up at the end, when you have to like race to the finish.
At the very end.
Yeah.
I didn't work on the bonus
I got
part.
you.
Or they may have taken some that I'd written and reworked them into that. Because I didn't know how the game was going to end. I was like, well, what if, is it just, like I didn't know how the end part would work. I just knew how the main game was going to work.
Gotcha.
So they may have taken like questions, because there were a couple of questions I wrote, like which of these, I tried to like, I love the this or that, and you don't know Jack, so I tried to like make my own. So I was like, which of these is a country song or a direction in a chainsaw instruction album or something I tried to like do that, and none of those really worked, but they might have put some in that. I don't know for sure because I don't know.
I gotcha.
Once the material's done and the contract's up, it's like, okay, now I just wait for the game.
Yeah.
See what makes it, see what doesn't.
Right.
So when do you like? What's the timeline between like you finish the work that you turn off to them and like the game actually comes out? Because I'm sure there's like an NDA and stuff like that where you can't say anything about the game.
Yeah, it depends on the game. So. It depends on the game and how far along they are. So like it could be anywhere from 2 to 3 months to a year.
Okay.
It just depends on how much they've done, how much work they have to do. You know, I mean, I don't know all the processes entailed once I'm done writing it and all the coding and the recording.
Yeah.
I mean, they work an insane amount of hours. I've heard Arnie say, you know, he works a lot on these because it's a lot of writing. It's a lot of writing and reading and researching, and then once the writing's down, then there's recording because they don't like to just put the text up on the screen. They like to have a host read it or say something.
Yeah, right.
So it sounds like someone's playing with you.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
In the game.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you worked on Bracketeering with Jackbox 4.
That was a short one.
That was a short one?
Yeah.
Okay.
About a month.
Okay. That's pretty.
Because they had 4 or 5 writers, I think.
Yeah. Gotcha. So you just contributed, more questions.
I just wrote prompts.
Like
that was probably the easiest and the funniest one.
Yeah.
Because it's about what, think of prompts that would start arguments. And I'm like, I'm good at that.
Yeah.
I start arguments all the time.
Do you have a favorite that you wrote for that?
No. Yeah. There's so there, if you all know how the game works.
Yeah, we just played it a couple nights ago.
Oh, so my
talking about-
favorite one.
yeah.
So for the second and the third rounds, you don't know what the category is going to be, or you don't know what the debate is going to be.
Yeah.
You know what the category is. So I came up with one that was just write any two words and put and or ampersand between them. And I mean, I came up with 30, or not 30, but I came up with a lot of ones that worked. Like write any two words with and put and between them. And one was like best name for a 70s cop show. Best names for an acoustic guitar rock duo, best name for a vaudeville team. And every time I play that game, I pray for that one to come up because it's just it just gets the biggest laughs. It came up once during a Christmas party, and the cop show one just killed. I think once I wrote like Stinky and Shakes for a best 70s cop show.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
I'm trying to think of another one that was good. And name any animal was fun because there's so many ways.
That's the one we just had actually because we got that and then we didn't see where it was gonna take us down the path to, and it got it
went from like best thing to spray paint on your van to scariest prison roommate nickname.
It was
one was like Ocelot.
nice.
There's a lot of bracketeering was a lot of fun. And it was really sports oriented, which I liked. I didn't get to write my favorite part of the game. Phil Ryder-Ollie, who does the voice of the host for that, is also the voice of Schmitty from he's the voice of Schmitty from You Don't Know Jack, and he's also, if you call the Apple tech support line, he's the first voice you hear.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I know him. I don't know him personally, but I talk to him every now and then, and I can't tell you how many times I was yelling at you this morning so hard. And I felt bad because I know who you are.
That's hilarious.
Or there's one, what I'm trying to think of. The topic is name any vegetable, and the topic is best character, or name any vegetable, and the topic is best vegetable for Benedict Cumberbatch to voice in a movie. And like every other win is like, you just got Cumberbatched. It's just, he's so funny, and the writing is so funny.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got to play it more.
Yeah.
No, it's like one of those games like you want to play it and keep finding out what the different things, because I don't know how they do it, but they're very good at like not repeating.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd have to ask them, but the tech, there's got to be something in the tech where they know, the game knows, oh, okay, we've already done this category. Don't do that for a while. You know, use this one.
Right.
It's kind of like with Cartoons Humanity. Like, when we first got into that, we were loving it, and after a while, you start seeing repeat cards and everything. Okay, this is getting old now. We've already had the same jokes over and over again. So I mean, with writing like these questions and these different things like that, you have to have probably a pretty large understanding of just pop culture stuff in general, and like just history. Like, I mean, there's like so much that you probably have to be able to pull from. So like, how much of that is related to like how much research goes into this, and also how much is just like how do you like what have you done over the years to kind of like be able to like
not date
write all this out? Are you gonna sit down and write all day?
No, I mean my pop culture knowledge. I mean I know stuff I like, but stuff I don't like, I don't pay it. So like My Little Pony, I only know about through I guess osmosis, from like my niece, or like stuff I watched with my niece, or something I've written about, well, for like Trivia Murder Party, we had to verify, that things were factually
right.
Or Trivia Murder Party and Lie Swatter. So it was just, and that one with Trivia Murder Party was basically just like, go find happy stuff. So that's not my wheelhouse. I'm not happy. No, it was just like, oh, I think a My Little Pony question would be funny. So I go research something on My Little Pony or Pez or what's another one? The problem is it's like I've written like 800 questions for that game alone, so I remember 2 of them. That's why I was like, I wish I brought my files, I could reference them, and also because I don't know which ones make it into the game,
right?
And which I mean, like when I play it, I'm like, oh, I remember I wrote that one, but you don't know what goes in. Oh, I do. No, I do remember one. The most obscure one from Trivia Murder Party was there's some kind of there's a lean cuisines, the frozen dinners. There's some kind of like, I don't know what it's called, but I think it's like gourmet select. And the question was, which of these is not a gourmet select lean cuisine dish? And I literally went on the lean cuisine website and double confirmed, okay, fettuccine Alfredo with floret broccoli is not or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's mainly just like, it's mainly like,
you know it or you don't.
you know it or you don't. Well, no. In terms of like what you're talking about, like inspiration, it's mainly just like, okay, I have guidelines for what they want, and then I just write whatever comes to me. And then when that runs out, I just randomly pick a topic in my head.
Yeah.
And then just go try to find something on that, whether it's like a trivia game or like a prompt game or a game where it's like a comedy game like Bracketeering or Quiplash. It's just like, seashells. Okay, I'll go look up something on seashells and see what I can find randomly.
Yeah, crazy facts are out there
Yeah,
about that.
and I have books.
yeah.
I also have books that I use, reference books, the Dictionary of Cultural Literacy, which is like whole chapters on like
That's interesting.
music
Yeah.
and literature and physics and and then they do make pop culture encyclopedias. I don't know how they get made because these people must live very dull and tired lives.
Yeah.
Like I have a book that thick on
Get
pop
all
culture
this stuff
encyclopedia.
Put together. Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot of work, but it's like a lot of like knowledge that I'm like, how do you categorize it? So
if you can memorize that, you'd probably be a master at every drinking trivia game.
Well, yeah, and I was gonna say, and Jeopardy. I watched Jeopardy a lot. No, Jeopardy is perfect for it because it's like,
questions are intense.
the questions are intense, and every game is pretty broad. So like in one round, it's like it covers movies and geography and this. So I'll just I won't steal from that, but I'll use it as like, okay, geography. I'll go look up something on lakes and then find something, or use that as whatever. So I'll have something on in the background.
Yeah.
Or I'll have a movie on. What I really like to do is just have a movie on like my iPad, and then someone will say a word, and I'll just go with that.
Yeah.
So I could be watching Scarface, and when he says ice cream, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, ice cream. That's my word for whatever it is.
There you go.
That's if I'm really desperate.
Yeah.
Because that, after a month, it's like, okay, I got to keep the well somewhat full of something.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Let's jump into Awkward, is the game from Snapfinger Click that just recently came on the Switch on July 5th, I think it was. Is that right?
Yes.
So
it's out now.
We picked it up, played
it's
it.
on Switch and Xbox and PS4 and Steam for PC and Mac.
Yeah. So in this one, you would work with another writer, and you two were the sole writers for it, correct?
As far as I know,
Yeah.
Joanna has, damn it, sorry. I want to make sure I say her name right. Joanna Haslam. That's
Yes.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
I almost said has ham.
Um,
I'd remember that.
So
No, Joanna Haslam, who's a huge help with like the direction of the game.
Yeah. It's such a different game. Like I was kind of in my mind, I was thinking I was jumping into another Jackbox kind of game, but it's definitely not
me
that
too.
way.
When I started,
It's very different. So it's meant to be played with. I guess it's more around like partner groupings and stuff like that, and trying to figure it out. One thing I was confused. I want to ask you, since you worked on the game. Okay, is it meant to be like you have like somebody has a controller and you just pass a controller around? Is that the idea?
I wasn't when I don't remember if we were going to use phones. I think I remember Martin saying when they tested it, they felt like the controller was the easiest part.
Yeah,
because it's just two people answering the same question.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just one controller.
Yeah, just pass it. Yeah. Right. So we were confused at that first because we were playing with 4 people. And,
at some point, I think they did want to do like the phone thing where you go on a website and sign in
and all that.
But they figured
one of our friends was like, "Why didn't you just have a website where you sign into?"
Well, it's not because it's just 2 people. Well, no, I mean it makes sense logistically. Like if it's just 2 people, then everyone's just sitting around with a phone that they're not using.
Right. Yeah.
And it's simpler that way to just have 2 people go head to head as opposed to like everybody. I mean, maybe if they did a sequel, like maybe they would. I don't know for sure if they would do that.
Yeah,
but
so
it's simpler. I
yeah,
guess.
in the game, it starts off. I like how it kind of led into, like, you start with round one, and it's just more general, get to know each other
it was
kind of
level
questions, and then as you get to level 3, it's like,
who's more racist?
holy shit! That's like, yeah, exactly. I was like, dang, these are intense.
Yeah.
So, how did that process for researching for that and writing these questions shift from like what you've done for Jackbox to this?
It was kind of the same muscle.
Is it? Okay.
I mean, not as much research because it was more creative writing
Right.
than research. Although, I'm sure there were times when I was like, oh, I should, like, who's more, like, which Pokemon is this person or something, like something I didn't know, might have been in that. But it was more like, it was based on like the levels. So it was like first round, second round first round is like innocuous, like, do you like pineapple on pizza? Second round is a little bit more awkward, like, I'm trying to again, I can't think of a single one. There's literally like 5,000 questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
it was months of writing on this one. Or no, it was about 3 months of writing.
Yeah.
I could think of a second one.
I think we had the Pokemon question when we played.
That was Trivia Murder Party.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Unless
Okay.
you're talking about. Again, I don't remember if there was a Pokemon. I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
We didn't get one.
Or it was like,
yeah.
Or one was like, who's probably a brony would be the second one, because they were also
Nice.
I don't know if this came out in the game because I haven't played it with other people. I've just played the single player version.
Yeah.
Because I don't have many friends. I'm kidding.
I-
We're oddly silent. Like, I'm just gonna. All right, I'm just gonna move past it. Some were female. Some were like. Some questions were like, okay, this is for a married couple, or this is for like a parent, or this is for friends. And some were tailored to women, and some were tailored to men.
Right.
Because I think you make those choices when you're setting up the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
No, I like that about it.
Yeah, like it's very intuitive in that, like, they tried to tailor because some questions you couldn't ask. Like, you can ask a married. Well, I mean, it would be awkward, but not in the way we want.
Right.
Like, you could ask a married question. There's nothing that says you can't ask the same question to a married couple that you could to a pair of friends, but they work better if
Tailor.
that way. Or like, well, I remember. So and then the top level, I don't remember if it's 3 or 4 rounds.
it was 3.
I think it was 3.
Yeah.
The top level is always the most awkward. So one is like, who has for a married couple would be who has more skeletons in your closet, you or your lover.
Yeah.
Right. Who's more likely to cheat on someone, your mom or your dad?
Yeah,
we got that one.
We had that question.
Did you have that?
Yeah,
Okay,
it was-
good.
That was a interesting one, because we
Right.
were like, I don't know either of their parents. I don't know how to answer that.
And there were moments too when I kind of exhausted my imagination and I tried to get creative with it, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think maybe like one was like, which little My Little Pony are you? Twinkle Bright or Pinkie Pie or whatever, like something like just.
What
I
was
was
the
like,
one that was like the question between, it was either
I
the
tried-
Wookiee or another thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like, who would you rather be, or something like that. It was
Right.
like
it
Wookiee or
wasn't-
something.
It was like an animal or something.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
some other weird name. But when
No, it was Star Wars. It was all Star Wars.
somebody answered a non-Wookiee, and I was like, why would you want to be the Wookiee or something like that? It was really funny.
it's meant
So I
to
was
be
like
an
shocked.
argument starting game.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know if
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know if our friend, it was the guy from the community, like was into Star Wars or not, because we never talked about it. So
Okay.
I just assumed that he wasn't, because he never really spoke about it. Because everyone else I know plays Star Wars, so I was like, oh yeah, I love Star Wars, I love Star Wars.
I tried to do stuff with some duality. So it was like, I think one I wrote was, would you rather save a 1-year-old child or a 60-year-old man?
Oh gosh,
Yeah. Like questions where it's like there's no good outcome to whatever you answer, but
Yeah.
the duality makes it fun. It's like a would you rather type scenario. But I tried to go beyond that, like make it a little more original than just either or. Like try to draw it up, but I can't think of one.
right. I think there was one on, because we were doing the friends component, and there was one about if you knew that your friend, I think, cheated on somebody, would you tell?
Yeah, that sounds
something
familiar.
or somebody,
No, it was
something related to cheating on a
believe-
friend.
lying is worse, or what's worse, lying or something about lying and then not saying something. Keeping your mouth shut is equivalent to lying.
Sounds
Something like that.
familiar.
Yeah. There was a whole bunch of.
It was a mix of like moral dilemmas
cool.
and then just completely crazy.
Yeah.
Who's more racist?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like literally, the game asks, "Who is more racist?" Like
Brett?
Me or you? Me or whoever.
Right. Yep. It was definitely awkward. It was an interesting thing. We're thinking about because we have these social events that
they're
events we
perfect for
do,
that, yeah.
and I think we might introduce that. We're definitely gonna have Jackbox there for people to try and jump into. So it's always
awkward,
fun and awkward. Yes. Yes. They're both gonna be there.
Cool.
So it'll be a good time, I think, because it's very interesting. So outside of like. I guess my next question would be, where do you see yourself like going from here? Because you've worked on these games.
Yeah, I don't know.
You do the freelance writing. Do you want to keep in the realm of video game writing?
I definitely. There's a couple of jobs I'm trying to get that I really want that are in. I kind of feel like this could be like it's a new comedy arena as like interactive. Not like just playing a game for the sake of playing a game, but like a game where like I have ideas for games that I could develop that are based, that have a comedy element to them. The problem is now, Cards Against Humanity was a huge hit and they've been copied so much. Like, there's like a million games where it's like, okay, you play this card, and then someone picks their favorite and that's their point. And there's some that are, actually I worked on one like that, but found a cool twist to it called Utter Nonsense, which is it's a card game where you deal out cards and then they have statements on them, and then you pick a voice card and everyone has to play one card and read it in that voice. So it could be like the card could be redneck, and you have to read this ridiculous statement like I breathe detergent for fun. I wrote and I worked on the family friendly version, the
family edition.
Yes, I worked on the family edition. So we had to be clean but goofy, and one was like one I know that I made it in was the first rule of Pancake Club is you do not talk about Pancake Club. Like just like random, very silly stuff. I think I made about 50 that made it in the game.
Yeah,
because I got paid by the card they picked up.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
interesting.
$17.99.
There you go.
There you go.
Get it now.
Naughty
Jump
edition.
on it.
Oh man.
Yeah, both of them are fun. I've played it, and the voices are like redneck. Southern Riverboat Gambler is my favorite because I think I do a pretty good one.
Let's hear it.
I need a card.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I'll find you one.
I don't even know how to.
No, it's fine.
I'd start with that. Like,
well, you base it on a voice you hear. So
yeah,
I try to do. I'm. You got one? What am I doing?
Pick your poison.
Oh, okay. No, it's too racist. Even my imaginary friends are getting married before me.
Nice.
That wasn't. I should have gone with the racist one. It's better for a Southern Riverboat Gambler.
Yeah.
Give me that one. I'll do that one.
Go for it. Yet, so.
The hardest part about being in an interracial relationship is selecting the Instagram filter.
Oh man, I should have got
my first instincts were better. I was like, it's a family show. No, it's not. That was the other one.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I have a question about somebody who, like, say there's people that are listening that are wanting to get in writing or anything like that. You've been doing it. How long have you been a professional writer?
18 years, 18 I think.
Years. What?
I'd rather not think about it.
What advice would you give somebody, or like lessons that you've learned that's like, if they're getting started, like, what is something that you would say, like, don't do this, or here's something that I wish I had known when I got into the business?
No, I mean, the honest is just to write.
Yeah.
I mean, is just, start a Tumblr, like come up with an idea for something you'd want to write regularly, and just whatever it is, if you want to write a book, then try to write a book. If you want to write jokes and find a place to go do stand up. If you want to write for video games, call up companies and say, hey, I mean, it is about like who if you want to get paid.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is luck. Like in the Jackbox case, that was my luck because I, ran into the guy at the right time and then called him back. And then, if you want to write, just write. That's really, that's just the best way to, and now's the best time ever. I don't like that that there's some websites that are like, we'll give you exposure. We won't pay you because they can't afford it. And I'm like, no, don't do, if you have to, if it's an avenue, fine. But it seems that's becoming more and more of a industry practice. Like some big places, the Huffington Post, that's how they built their empire, was by.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Free writing.
Free writing.
Give you a name or help build your name or something.
Right. And which, and I don't mean to be, again, if it's like getting clips, that's fine. But if you're writing to write, if you're offering like a paid writer, like volunteer, like exposure, I'm like, that doesn't help me,
Right.
What helps me is making money and, having something that was like, here, I got paid to write for this place or paid to publish this.
Anyway, well, I think we've kind of covered the gamut here. We've gone through writing and everything and all of that. I guess now the question is, where can we find you online? Like, what are some places? And is there any particular things?
I've got to give you my Facebook page now.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'm at Facebook. What is it? Writer Danny Gallagher at Facebook. On Twitter at This Is Danny G. Instagram at writer Danny Gallagher. Like I said, I write for the Dallas Observer.
Yeah,
mostly. Folding Chairs. We have a show. Like I said, sometime in September. At Pocket Sandwich Theater. Hopefully, we're working on it, but I'm trying to get October for Monkey Horror Picture Show. What else? That's all. Oh, Just a Sec, and my podcast is Just a Sec, the Geekly World News podcast that we do for Dallas On Air.
Yeah.
Which we do episodes every other week, but they're all archived on DallasOnAir.com.
That's cool.
We broadcast Sundays at 10:30. Right,
and you guys do a live broadcast with that.
We do a live broadcast, and then they archive them at Dallas On Air, and we've started putting them on Facebook Live. We're about to get on. We just passed our 1 year anniversary.
Oh, congrats!
Thank you. So
awesome.
we're trying to get on iTunes. We got to do the iTunes, Stitcher.
Oh yeah,
Podbean stuff. So,
yeah. So you use Podbean for the hosting and stuff like that?
Yes. Yep. Right now, I only use it for a podcast that helps me sleep.
Yeah. There you go.
The Sounds of Rain podcast. I highly recommend.
Awesome. Well, there you go, everybody.
Plug.
Check out Danny online. Definitely check out the new Awkward game that just came out. It's very, very cool and very, very awkward. And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, man. I had a great time. Thanks.
Yeah. So that's going to conclude everything this week. If there's something you want to hear us talk about, please let us know at hello@theinnergamer.net. You can also donate to us on Patreon at patreon.com/theinnergamer to get all of these videos early, or you can go to youtube.com/theinnergamer and get the clips every Thursday. So thank you all for watching and or listening, and we'll see you next time. Head on over to theinnergamer.net for a full podcast episode for our weekly game impressions and top headlines of the week.
That's one of me doing an interview. Here's one of all of us. We'll mix some cool stuff in there. Brett's also right here.
Like this video, subscribe, keep up with all the latest video game news and opinions that you care about right here on The Inner Gamer.